Save tons of money turning Dollar Tree items into high-end home decor. Their summer collection is extra impressive this year, but we're gonna one-up them. Starting with these fancy bowl fillers. Their new blue twisted jute is on point. You'll wanna grab a couple rolls of that along with their beautiful sea glass. Also some glass beads, and for the base, we'll need various sizes of these styrofoam balls. For size reference, I grabbed the 2.4 inch and the 2.8 inch size styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree. First up, we're going to use these glass beads. I went ahead and used some hot glue to attach the beads one by one all the way around the entire styrofoam ball. However, if you're going to be using this outside, I would highly recommend using a styrofoam safe adhesive or super glue. I'll link my favorite super glue that is safe for styrofoam and using outdoors down in the description box below. You can find it on Amazon. But if you're going to be using this inside, then hot glue works just great. You can see how beautiful these turn out. I did those two different sizes, so pretty. We're gonna do the same kind of concept using hot glue, except this time wrapping our twisted jute all the way around until the entire thing is covered. There are so many awesome and great themes to decorate for during the summertime. I've done several in the past. I've done bumblebees, I've done sunflowers, strawberries. I love this beachy vibe for this year. I've even done Americana. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Do you decorate for summertime, and what theme do you use? Now we're gonna pair this cutie with one of the jute balls that Dollar Tree has ready-made. Is this not so cute? If you have a smaller space, you can just gather a couple of these and kind of make a nice little accent area, or these look really cute paired together in larger amounts. This is a dough bowl that I found at the Target dollar spot, so super inexpensive, and you can kind of gather and arrange and tuck different things and elements into these larger vessels. So I had a couple of those jute balls from Dollar Tree, two sizes of those glass bead balls, the twisted jute ball, and then also some of these starfish that are also at Dollar Tree. And then to kind of fill in any of the empty spaces and gaps, we're gonna do that with the beautiful sea glass from Dollar Tree. So I really love the way this turned out. You can use this idea for other places too, like tiered trays. You could change out the bead color, the jute kind. Get creative, make it work in your space, but I love the beachy vibe of this. Next up, we're gonna make some rope coasters. Most Dollar Trees carry this jute rope, which will work for this, but if you can find the nautical rope at Dollar Tree, grab that. That is gonna work so much better for this project, and I'll show you why in just a second, but it is so simple to create these rope coasters. We're starting with some stiff felt and just drawing some circles on there and cutting it out. These are going to be the base of our coasters. Then very similar to the jute balls, we are going to use our hot glue, add a little dab right to the middle of the felt, put the end of our nautical rope in there, and then simply winding and twisting this around onto the felt, adding hot glue as we go until we get all the way to the edge of the felt. Now, a little tip here is once you get to the end, you want to take your scissors and kind of cut the rope at an angle so it tapers off into the side. And at this point, if you have any extra felt hanging off over the edge, you can simply trim that off. I feel like this is such a simple idea. It is so quick and easy, but whenever you actually go to use them, they are very useful. If you have a glass that sweats a lot, it is going to protect your table, and it also looks really nice as well. You can make several of these on the cheap. We all love the solar lights from Dollar Tree. They are great quality. They work great too. And we're going to pair them with these beautiful sea glass vases from Dollar Tree as well. They had a couple different options. I grabbed 3 of these teal colored ones. The cool thing about these lanterns is they come with hangers, but you don't have to use them with these vases. If you take a pair of pliers, there's a little metal piece that you can just lift up on, and the whole entire hanger will just pop right off. Do not throw this hanger away. away though, save it, hang on to it, because you can actually clamp this back over and use it for different projects too. So if you have mason jars or other vases that have a little lip on them, you can use this, or even adjust the size if you need to. Reuse it. Keep those things so you can craft with them. We're going to pair them with some more of the nautical rope too. As you can see, I'm going to make 3 of these. I think they're going to look so pretty grouped together. With the solar light, you would just want to pull up on the top, remove the base of it. Of course, pull the tab, make sure it works before you start crafting with it. And then we're going to take our hot glue and we're going to wind that nautical rope all the way around the silver plastic part. I ended up doing 3 rows of the rope. And now we're going to pull this whole look together by also adding some of that same nautical rope onto the bottom of that teal vase. Just using some hot glue. Again, if it's going to go outside though, highly recommend using some super glue along with this to make it last long term. This is just really going to help pull that look together so that the top and the bottom match and kind of have that cohesive look. And then it is so easy. You can just set these outside or in your windowsill, pop the light right into the top of the vase, and look how pretty these look during the day. They look super cool at night too. If you could take 1 second, hit that thumbs up button. That helps out my channel so much, and I would so much appreciate it. Now, if you can't find the sea glass vases at Dollar Tree, you can literally turn any vase into sea glass by using this spray paint. I found this at Hobby Lobby, but if I can find it other places and link it, I will put it down in the description box below. So you can take any clear vase and turn it into this beautiful aqua color. This vase is from Hobby Lobby. I just had it on hand. It gave me that nautical vibe, but you can also use vases from Dollar Tree too. Look how beautiful it turns out. We're going to grab that nautical rope, the brown kind this time, and we're going to wrap the bottom of this, again, just using hot glue. If you're looking for even more Dollar Tree DIYs, you can follow The Daily DIYer on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I'll make sure to have those linked down in the description box below to make it easy for you to come follow. We don't want to wrap this all the way up. We still want to see some of that beautiful sea glass. So we're just going to wrap this about halfway up and then hot glue the end so that it stays in place. We're also going to accent this with one of Dollar Tree's starfish, kind of in the middle, attached onto the rope and also onto the glass. We're not quite done there. We're going to take one of these great metal chalkboard signs. I thought they were really pretty. We're going to use it as a base. So I removed the hanger off of the top, and then I already had this riser on hand. So I sat that right on the top of the riser and then sat my vase on top. This would make a beautiful centerpiece. You could add flowers to it. You could add a taper candle to the top. You could create feet and put it on the bottom of the metal if you didn't have a riser. So there's lots of different options here, but I think this is so pretty. Definitely a beautiful beachy vibe. Now we're going to make some very high-end looking bookends using 2 of the nautical jute balls from Dollar Tree along with some wood. This is scrap wood that I had, 1x4 size, cut to 4 1/4 inches long. Now you can also scour Dollar Tree to find some wood that you can also use for this as well. And what you'll do is you'll cut them down to size and then make sure to sand them smooth. We're going to need some simple light gray acrylic paint. We're going to create a sort of beach wood effect. And the trick to do this is to use a baby wipe or a wet paper towel. And you'll just take a little bit of that gray paint and sort of work it into the wood, going with the way of the grain. So you just kind of wipe this and rub this on so it's very light. You still want to see that wood grain showing through, and you'll get a really beautiful beach wood effect. Definitely make sure to get both sides and all 4 edges and then let that dry. To put it all together, we're going to use wood glue. Again, you can find this at Dollar Tree. We're going to take 2 pieces of the wood, add some of that wood glue onto the edge of one side and then also the bottom of another piece to make an L shape. You can also use hot glue for this. However, wood glue is going to give you a much better bond that is going to last and last versus hot glue. It's also going to give you no gaps whenever you go to put these sides together. And then it does take about 24 hours for this to completely set up and cure, but it's workable after about an hour or so. So once I had these set, I let them sit aside for about an hour before coming back to do the next step. Now this part is up to you. You can actually cut the loop off of this and just use the jute ball if you want. I really actually liked it though, so I found a way to sort of incorporate it into the book end by just sort of wrapping it underneath, adding a little bit of hot glue to keep it in place to make the loop a little bit shorter before then adding some more hot glue to the bottom of the jute ball, putting that in place, kind of pulling it away from the side before adding some hot glue there and then attaching it to the top part of our bookend. I went ahead and repeated that for the other side to make both of these look the same. And if you think they look cute now, wait until we add it to our bookshelf with our books. This looks so chic and so high-end, especially with the books, which you'd never know are also from Dollar Tree, and a couple may have been thrifted as well. I like to cover them in plain paper or craft paper or even paint them to make them look a little bit more neutral. Such a chic and beautiful look. Now these bookends are beautiful, but wait until you see the end result of this project. I love the sand dollar and also the starfish from Dollar Tree. You could do this with both of those. I'm going to show you with the starfish for this one. Again, with some scrap wood. This is a 1x4 that's about 24 inches long. Went ahead and sanded that down with my Dollar Tree sanding block. And we're going to do the same technique as the bookends. That's going to help us get that cohesive look throughout the space. That's one of the tips and tricks when you're designing and you're creating your own custom. If you keep the same look throughout, it doesn't really matter where you put it, it all just kind of blends. So once I got that paint onto the wood with my baby wipe, let that dry. We're going to attach the starfish with some epoxy glue. Now this is also from Dollar Tree. If you've never used this before, it's a 2-part epoxy that you squeeze out, take a popsicle stick, and then you will work those together. But you are sort of on a time limit here. It sets up pretty quickly, so what you want to do is hurry up and evenly space out 5 starfish onto your board, and then once you have them where you want them, add a little bit of the epoxy onto the starfish, let them sit, and it sets up in only about 5 minutes. So you could also take this idea and use the sand dollars from Dollar Tree to create different sizes depending on your space. I added a little bit of sticky tack onto the back of mine and just pushed it right up against the back of my bookshelf here, and just look how gorgeous this is. So inexpensive and easy, and pairs really nicely with my new bookends too. Now I have a beautiful outdoor idea for you. Of course, you could probably use this inside too, but it definitely works for outside. We're gonna grab a metal bucket from Dollar Tree along with some of their seashells. Yes, they carry seashells too. This bucket says, "Wish upon a starfish," which is just so cute. We're gonna add some sand to this bucket about 3/4 of the way up. Even Dollar Tree carries sand a lot of times too, so keep an eye out for that. I had tons of play sand left over from another project I'm using. You can find it inexpensively at the department stores. We're also going to be using some Dollar Tree candlesticks. I've had these for a long time. I'm just sticking those right down into the sand. And then to accessorize, we're also going to stick some of those seashells into the sand too. You could also add some of those glass beads in here or the sea glass in here. You could add rocks to the inside instead. Just use what you have on hand before heading to the store to spend money. We're also going to just light these candles. These are great on a non-windy day outside. Mine stayed lit pretty good on this day as it was pretty warm, hot, and humid, which is the way I like it. This is so pretty. But again, you could use it inside too. You could even use some citronella candles in here or solar lights. Now let's make a serving tray. I love these round signs from Dollar Tree. We're gonna use this one, but we're gonna flip it over so we have a nice clean slate. They do come with holes in them, so we're gonna take some Dollar Tree spackle, fill that hole. Once you have the spackle in there, let it dry for about a half an hour so it can set up, and then you can come in with a sanding block and sand that smooth, and then it will be ready to paint. Now I'm painting mine with a matte black chalk paint. I love chalk paint because it adheres really well, covers really well, and also dries really quickly. You can use whatever color is your favorite here. I also found this design in Cricut Design Space and cut it out on some matte white vinyl. If you don't have a vinyl machine, of course, you can find stickers at the craft store, or you could use a white paint pen or freehand a design onto the bottom of your tray. I went ahead and cut out this design and transferred it over onto the tray, centering it. It's super duper easy if you've never worked with vinyl before. It is super easy, quick, and just leaves a really professional look at the end. Now we're gonna add our handles onto the tray. These are from Hobby Lobby. I always wait until they have their 50% off sale on their knobs and drawer pulls. And to make this look a little bit nautical, I used some jute to cover up the middle, just tied it on and hot glued it on, and did that to both of those handles. And we're also going to attach those onto the side here in just a minute. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. I just used some double-sided tape that I had on hand to put my tray handles on because I didn't want to have to drill holes. You of course could drill holes and attach them with screws if you want to be able to pick this up, but if it's just going to be sitting on a table for display, gluing them on or adding some double-sided tape onto them to hold them up works too. One last added element are these half round wood beads. They're about 1 inch in size, and I'll make sure to link these down in the description box below too, just to add 4 feet onto the bottom of this tray to raise it up a little bit. Just attaching them on there with some hot glue, evenly spacing them out. I didn't even paint them. I kind of like the contrast. It matched really well with the jute on the handles. And then you can use this to put in the center of your coffee table, in the center of your dining room table, add a few extra more accessories. Just a really simple but chic look and a nice way to add a little bit of fanciness to your nautical decor. Now we're going to turn one of these foam wreaths into a nautical life ring. So easy to do. You can see these are 9.8 inches big. You can find bigger ones at craft stores too if you want some size variations. I do recommend giving this 2 coats of a chalk paint in the color of your choice. I'm using the color Plaster on mine. What it's going to do is it's going to seal in some of those holes and kind of pits that are in the foam. It's also going to give this a nice base so that we can add a second color. So here's what it looks like after 2 coats, and it's all dry. We're going to add the detail now. So this is just some painter's tape. I'm going to evenly space and tape off 4 different sections. Now you do want to sort of match the ends up so that you get a nice even spacing on your tape before moving on to the next one. And what I did is I measured over 3.5 inches, 3.5, 3.25 inches was about right to keep these completely centered and evenly spaced. So why are we taping it off? That way so we can then add a second color. I didn't have navy blue chalk paint, so I'm using acrylic paint for this, giving it 2 coats to make sure I had good coverage. It probably could have used a 3rd coat, to be honest. But once it was dry, I went ahead and then removed that painter's tape to reveal our design. And now we're starting to see that life ring sort of look. We're gonna add some more detail though. This is just regular jute. You can get this at Dollar Tree too. We're gonna hot glue in between each one of those color changes. So between the blue and the white. I wrapped mine 8 times each. That way I got a symmetrical look on each one. Hot gluing the ends to keep that in place too. And then this is what it looks like after all of that is wrapped. We're gonna come in with this thicker nautical rope to add the last detail around the outside. You kind of make a little attachment in one spot and then wrap it with some jute to keep it in place, adding some hot glue too, kind of adding some slack and going around evenly, pulling the slack, adding some jute to tie it into place, and some hot glue at the very end. So that way we get that extra little detail of rope around the outside that really gives this that lifesaver ring look. So I have mine displayed on the wall here. It looks cute with a shiplap, but you could put this on your front door as a wreath. You could also put this in the center of a mirror as an accent piece. Lots of great ways to use it, and so inexpensive to create. Now we're gonna make some personalized beachy decor, starting with one of these flat canvases, 8x10 size from Dollar Tree. Make sure it's the flat one, not the one with the wood border. You're also gonna need some paint stir sticks. I get these really inexpensively on Amazon. I'll link these down below too. They're about 12 inches long, and I'm taking my hot glue and stacking these one on top of each other, attaching them onto the canvas. So here's what it looks like finished. These paint stir sticks are pretty rough, so I came in with my Dollar Tree sanding block and sanded it all down to make sure to get off any of the splinters. We're gonna give this sort of a faux stained wood look. So I'm taking some chalk paint, watering it down, and also coming in with a paper towel to kind of remove some of the excess paint. We don't want a thick covering. We really want this to kind of look aged and weathered. So sort of just brushing on the paint and then wiping it right back off so you can still see some of that wood grain. Again, coming in with my Dollar Tree sanding block to give this even more of a roughed up look. Again, with the nautical rope, this stuff you can find usually all year long, and I hope you guys can find it too because it works so great during the summertime and also really all year long. So this is a staple in my craft stash. We're gonna create a monogram with this rope. Our last name starts with an H, so I'm creating an H for us. You do want to make sure you kind of add a little bit of glue to the ends when you cut them so that way they don't come unfrayed. I'm also doubling up on the rope. That way I have more of a thick monogram that stands out a little more. Once you have all the pieces cut, you can go ahead and glue those onto your sign. We're gonna add a couple more details to this to really finish it off. We're gonna take some regular jute, tie it around the front, and then tie a knot in the back. Then you'll go ahead and continue to wrap around a few times around the sign on the bottom, tie it off in the back, and repeat that for the top to give the top a similar look. So I really like the way this looked, kind of simple. This kind of also has a farmhousey look too, but if you really want to create a more nautical look, you can also attach on a starfish onto the bottom like you see here. I'm gonna toss up whether the bookends or the starfish art was my favorite project from this video. You guys let me know what your favorite was down in the comments below. Check the description box to links that I mentioned throughout this video of more DIYs popping up on your screen you can check out next. And I wanna thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Have a creative day.